every single episode is going to be live.
Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down throughout the generations. But what if those legends are true? My job is to travel to these destinations, explore them, and figure out the mystery that lies within. Hey everyone, happy Thursday night, happy second week of October, happy second episode of Ghost Biker Explorations. Here we are on Thursday night with our Behind the Screams of Season 7, Episode 2. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and thank you all that joined us the other night. We really enjoyed that live. Just going to kind of do just a little bit of a recap from before this episode. If you tuned in to last week's episode, which would have been episode 1, you would have seen that we were at Dipsy Doodle Antiques in Dahlonega, Georgia, and we had a really cool session there. I won't get into all that tonight because that was what last Thursday's show was all about. And I hope that if you didn't watch any of these episodes, I hope that you will go back and catch up and maybe send us your timestamps of some of the cool things that maybe we didn't notice, or that was maybe one of your favorite moments. We had Kim, who was the owner. She popped into the chat room last week and helped us kind of break down that episode, and it was a lot of fun. And so that kicked off our season of antique shops, antique stores, oddity shops, and collections that we're covering this season. So it's been a great season so far. I've gotten a lot of messages about both of these episodes, and I'm absolutely loving it because it's kind of taking all this and doing it a little bit different, getting to try some new and fun techniques. So I just want to say hello to the folks over here in the chat room. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. John, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for helping with your questions and comments there on the last episode. Miss Jolly Goins, I hope you're having a great night. Susan Purcell, hello to you. James Brady, always good to see you, and your wife Kim. I always love talking to you all, and you always have some great comments and questions there for the show. Mr. Bob Burnell, hello. I hope you're feeling better. Hope you're doing well. I owe you a response. I saw your message come through, and I have literally. After the episode, I had to leave and drive home on Tuesday night. I had a little bit, about a 5.5 hour drive home that night, and didn't get home till after 6 o'clock yesterday morning. And then I had to be at a meeting by 10 a.m. So it was a very, very long day, and all that went long, and then trying to catch up on sleeping and everything. So hoping to catch up on messages real soon. So I owe you a message there, Bob. Tracy, hello. I'm glad you enjoyed Tuesday night. I thought it was absolutely awesome as well. And I do agree. D Hoot Sonia was a great addition to the investigation. I really appreciate her help. She is actually going to be joining us here in a few minutes, and we're going to have a discussion and break down the episode. Ronnie Anderson, hope you're doing well. All right. So if anybody has any questions or comments about tonight's episode, please feel free to put them in the comment section there. If you have a specific question, if you don't mind, please put it in all caps so that I don't miss the questions as we're going throughout. Just a few housekeeping notes here. We did not have a Jailhouse Informant episode earlier tonight, just because we've been so busy preparing for all the tours that we have on the upcoming weekends and all the different stuff that we've got going on here at October. We've actually added a few tours for our schedule at Historic Rugby After Dark, as well as the Historic Scott County Jail. And we have a full calendar leading up to the end of the month. We do have, we did add a couple late tours, especially I believe October 25th. That weekend, we did add some late tours. So go on our website if you're looking for a ghost walk, guided ghost hunt, or private paranormal investigation. I think for the most part, the private paranormal investigations for the month of October are pretty well booked out, but we do have a couple guided ghost hunt spots available, as well as a few tickets left to some of our tours that we have. I think specifically there at Historic Rugby. So if you need some more information or anything on that, please visit our website, historyhighwayshaunts.com, and choose your adventure. Either choose whether you want to find more information on the historic Scott County Jail or Historic Rugby After Dark, and you can find all of our tour information and everything on those sites as well. Also do want to mention that coming up October 21st, we are doing the Lake Lanier Ghost Hunt and Haunted Cruise. The Lake Lanier Boat Charter Company, they are having their cruise every night during the month of October. And so we're going to be going down on October 21st. We've got a whole group of people that's going to be joining us. So if you want to do something a little bit different, definitely go on, check that out. And we will have the links to book your tickets. It's very reasonably priced. And you get a cruise as well as a little mini ghost hunt there on one of the islands there at Lake Lanier. So more information about that coming up very soon. And as Chris said, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited to have talked to Captain Tom there on our excuse me, on our podcast that we have there at the jail. We were excited to talk to him. And so we hope that you guys will come join us on Lake Lanier, support Captain Tom's charter boat cruise venture that he's doing, and plan to join us for that. So we will have more information on that coming up very soon. But why don't we go ahead and get to what we're going to be talking about tonight? I'm very honored and happy to be joined by my friend Sonia, who you've seen her on the show a couple times, and she did help me with moderating for the show there on the last episode, and so I'm really happy to have her join us to join in the discussion tonight on what we experienced. So, hey, Sonia, thank you for coming on tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a wild couple days.
It has. I have to say, this season has been so much fun and just so many interesting things with the locations that we've been visiting, and just the history behind it, as well as the activity, has really been pretty unique.
It really has. Especially the other night. So far, your first two seasons, your first two episodes have been fantastic.
Well, thank you. And so, we're covering all of these antique stores, and of course, this location, we weren't able to actually disclose the location for different reasons, which is a little unfortunate, but totally understand that. Because we like to promote these antique shops and send people that way, but just the history behind this specific shop was really fascinating, and I think kind of lended to the reason we got some of the activity that we did.
I agree. I really do. And somebody, I think it was James Brady or somebody, I can't remember, had asked on the live when the building was built. I did find out that it was built around 1896.
Yeah.
So it's pretty old.
Yeah. So really, let's kind of talk a little bit about this history and a little bit of what we can give away. So we were in Northeast Georgia. It was about a 5.5 hour drive from where I'm located at here in Huntsville, Tennessee. And so it was quite a haul, but definitely a beautiful historic town. As Sonia said, the building was built in the late 1800s. It did have multiple uses. One of those uses early on was a funeral home, and it operated as a funeral home for about 35, 36 years.
Somewhere right in there. The funeral home started there about 1913, and it was on. What we were seeing was the building, even though there were separate rooms and stuff. At one time, there was a wall of petition going all the way down, and it divided that building up. So there was a business on one side and a business on the other side. And what I thought was amazing was the side that the funeral home was on was the side that we were getting the most activity on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it seems. And um and so the building was 2 stories, and we showed all of that in the tour. The front of the building, very, very nice, clean, well set up antique shop, and then this long hall with high ceilings that had the individual rooms separated out, and I like how they had them categorized as the toy room, the vintage clothing room, the music room, the room that had, well, the singing room, and then of course more of a music room, but kind of Americana type items, the man cave, the Christmas room. I love how they had all this set up. It made the investigating really really easy in a way to be able to
Yeah.
kind of separate that out. And then of course the basement, which was a work in progress at this time. They're looking to do some different stuff, and of course when you get all kinds of different items, you got a storage space that you've got to kind of
Mhm.
set up and store things, which we'll talk about the basement here in a few minutes. But kind of jumping back onto the history, the after that, it was a five and dime store for quite some time. Do you know how long it was the five and dime store?
It was there until 1990. After the funeral home, there was like a tea company that went in, and then they were in one side, and the five a dime was in the other. And then they eventually took over the whole space, and that is when the wall was removed down the middle, and it stayed the five and dime till 1990. I believe there was a clothing store that went in there after that, and then the antiques store came in, I think, 2009.
Okay.
So, there's been, I think there was a hardware store in there at one point, general store in there at one point early on, like in the early 1900s, like at 1901, there was a general store in there.
Yeah. And also an apartment up. Originally there would have essentially been a second story, or if you want to count the basement as a floor, a third story, um, that had a apartment.
And that was recently found out too. That was some news that was recently discovered when they were doing some repairs, and that was quite intriguing. And I also found out that there had been an elevator that we did not notice. And so I'm hoping to go back up there at some point. It's not too far from here, and go up there and see if I can see exactly where that's at.
Yeah, that's a cool point. I mean, I gotta say, we heavily researched the history before going in there, and we didn't really find out till last minute that we couldn't reveal the location. So that sort of changed a little bit the way that we did the investigating, by going into some of the history that we found out, because um, there was not only the type of stores that it was, but there was actually an incident and some history that would have been interesting to be able to share, but didn't really want to give that away.
Yes, yes, that was very interesting indeed.
Yeah. So to kind of kind of going that into the incident and a few of the things that sort of happened, without going into what the location is, we did find out that on October 6th, back in the 1930s, we won't give the specific year away, but there on October 6th, which would have actually been 2 days before the investigation took place, there was actually a suicide that did take place in one of those rooms of the building. We actually found the death notice for it. Ironically, on the date that the death took place, we found the
Yeah.
death notice. That was wild.
hmm
And we and it actually said that it was it was a suicide shot through the heart, and it did take place in the store portion of the funeral home. And so I was really intrigued. I kind of, it just goes to show when it comes to preconceived notions that you can think you're going to get specific activity and think that things are going to go in a certain direction. and things totally flip flop and that
Mhm.
not be the case. And so when I was going in, I was really curious to know if the activity we were going to experience would come from either the type of locations that used to be in that store, i.e., the funeral home, the Five and Dime, the general store,
Mhm.
or if it would come from the items specifically there.
Yeah.
Because interestingly enough, there were some claims that from the owner of the location as well as one of the workers that was there on site with us that night. There were plenty of claims of haunting activity that had been experienced by either people who ran booths there or people who owned the location of activity that was present in the building.
Yeah, and also customers.
Yes, yes.
Because customers had seen a little girl. There was a couple,
Hmm.
and they wanted to know who that just to let them know, hey, there's a little girl there, and we don't see the parents.
Right.
So that was very intriguing.
It was, and so I have to say that so we went in, with a specific line of questioning in mind that pertained to the, death that occurred there, and where we couldn't give the location away, I thought, "Okay, well, I'm gonna see if the spirit since we know a name, we know a date, we know a cause
Mhm,
of death, I wanna see if any of the spirits would reveal that."
mhm,
And, we didn't get that upstairs, specifically in the place that we thought it occurred, but we haven't been able to go back and review any of the static cam footage because
mhm.
we filled that place full of static cameras and recorders just to see if maybe we captured any type of EVPs or any type of interesting phenomena while we were asking questions. So I'm really curious to go back and listen to some of that and see if potentially the spirit that this happened to, if they revealed anything.
Yeah, I'm interested in finding out about that as well, which
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see what happened when we were upstairs, you
Yes.
know, while everything was going on downstairs, or what was
Hmm.
going on upstairs as we were downstairs.
Uh-huh. So just kind of looking at the comments here. So just want to get to a few of those and then we'll get on into the investigation here. Dee Dee says, I liked the way they named the rooms. I love a theme. I do too. I mean, and it just, it just kind of helps you be able to distinguish more with the activity when you're going through and looking in these rooms. And so some of the claims of activity that was experienced there, as Sonia mentioned earlier, the young girl, they didn't have a name for her, but she had kind of been described by some different people. There was an older lady that's been seen that wears her hair in a bun, and apparently she's a little more cantankerous from what I think the owner described her as mean,
Yeah.
and she goes by the name Irma from what they were saying. And then also there is a grumpy man that's back in that one room, the man cave area, which kind of fits a little bit the description of the gentleman who did commit suicide there in the building. And then so those I'm trying to think if there was any other. Those are the claims I believe that I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
some things were not told until after, when I spoke
yeah.
to him yesterday, like footsteps and going
Mhm.
up and down the stairs,
Yeah.
which, I had heard. You didn't hear it because but
Mm-mm.
I thought Sage was coming downstairs to tell
Mhm.
us goodbye, and I actually looked back twice, and there
Mhm.
was nobody there. Well, come to find out, she never came to the back of the store.
No, no.
Yeah. So,
Um, because I think I was hearing her go to the front at the
mhm,
same time you were hearing something behind.
right.
Now, let's kind of look here. Janet says the room with the toys was amazing. It really truly was. The little girl spirit, I mean, she just seemed to dominate the night. And really incredible responses, which we'll get to here in just a minute. And as Bob said, both locations were set up very nicely. I completely agree. You know, sometimes I've been in a lot of antique stores in my time, and you know, sometimes the ones you go in, antiques can be overwhelming to a lot of people, and I feel like if it's not set up just right, it can go from looking really high end to not so much, you know.
Mhm.
And so I felt like they did do an amazing job setting up both of those locations. So kudos to them. And then James says, "Did you bring Angle home with you?" Well, I did actually end up buying Angle, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes, because the owner wasn't there that night. I didn't get to bring her home, but I did. I did have Sonia go back and pick her up for me, and so hopefully I'll be getting her very soon. But I couldn't pass that up. I felt like I don't feel like that she's haunted or anything of that nature. It just I felt like that was something that was specially pointed out, so I wanted to bring her home and add to the collection there. Um, let's see here. So before we get to well, actually, I'll go ahead and look at these couple questions before we move on. The dream interpreter, Dee Dee, says, I think Sage maybe got a little nervous at the end, more activity than she thought. Did they have any activity the next day or this week since we were there? Um, you said you stopped by and was able to talk to them. I have not talked to them since, and I don't know if they'll pop in on the live.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sage was not there, or only one of the owners was there when I stopped by, but I did talk to Sage and the owner on the phone. And so they had not been back up there to witness anything. But I did assure them that we found nothing demonic.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad in there. There was only good spirits. There was nothing that was going to hurt them or hurt or harm anyone that came in there. So, I just wanted to reassure them that it was safe, nothing to be scared of or fearful of, because there was, that's one of the reasons of going in like that and being able to determine that there's no meanness in there,
Well, I mean, and sometimes that's hard. I mean, just a one and done investigation, but there was, I mean, that place felt to me it had good energy.
Yeah, me too.
So um and then Tracy says, I used to work there when it was owned by someone else, and I would hear footsteps in the hall when I was there by myself. I would also hear activity downstairs, and there would be nobody down there. So that's
Okay.
a good point. I love getting that type of information from the source. That people who have experienced those sort of things. So thank you for that, Tracy, and thank you for your input during the investigation. That was really really cool. Um, and so let's see. Just scrolling through. Yeah, absolutely, Bob. Definitely no bad vibes there at all. And it just seemed really that these spirits had, like a lot of places, had a story to tell. So um now and I think they knew that the owners they seem to be very spiritual in nature. Um so they seem to kind of know their stuff when it came to what was experienced or what they've experienced in there in the past. So um so I want to go ahead and pull up, let me cue this up here. Okay. So I wanted to pull up a few places here on the video to talk about. Obviously we're not going to go into into a lot of the uh, video and that sort of thing, but I want to highlight just a few key points that people have messaged me about. And this first one here, like I said, I was just kind of looking at the comments over here. Hello, Joe. Hello, Linda. Um, No, I gotta say, the investigations have honestly not really been very slow. And it just I mean, the investigations for especially locations that have never been investigated before, I thought that they were doing that they were going pretty well. So anyways, all right, I'm going to pull this up. So when we started the investigation, we did start in the toy room, and that was one of those that was by recommendation of everybody. We had an SLS camera set up, and we had it set up there in the toy room. We wanted to see if we were getting any type of interaction while we were asking questions. We did get some false positives on that SLS that we were able to debunk, which I think is really cool. We keep it static because really those are not designed to be carried around and moved. They're supposed to be kept static so that they don't keep having to refocus on everything. And once we figured out that it was picking up on the toys and that sort of thing, because we couldn't get it to respond to us intelligently by waving or doing anything of that nature, we went ahead and took that out of the equation. But it was cool to set that up and try it. We then started doing the nursery rhyme game, and the flashlights started going off at that point. And it was interesting how they were responding during the nursery rhymes. We would have, for instance, I think we did Little Miss Muffet, and we did, let's see, what was that second one? It almost seemed like when we would come to an action part of the nursery rhyme, she would light up. Do you remember?
Wasn't it Old MacDonald?
No. No, I can't remember. I know that when we got to the part about the spider coming down, lit up.
Yeah.
The other one, London
it
Bridge. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. It was London Bridge. So when the bridge was falling down, it lit up. It was really cool because it seemed like every time we ran through the nursery rhyme and got to the action part, it would light up. And so we did that for a little while. We went through quite a few nursery rhymes, and then we decided to get the obelisk out. And I think this is where things got a little bit interesting. So I'm going to play this. There will be a little bit of a lag in there, but it's going to be probably about a 7-8 minute clip just to include everything in it. And let me make that full screen, and we'll go from there.
Jill, it's different how you have to turn it on.
Okay.
Do you know Jack and Jill? Yeah, the EDI is definitely going crazy. We got Halo. I wonder if... Are you a little angel? Do you like angels? Sage says, I have a question from one person who's here a lot to ghost. Let's see. Does the song let's see. Do you like the song that the clock plays? She wants to know if the owner should change it. Do you hear the clock play a song? That's a great question, Sage. If you can hear the song that the clock plays, hello and angle. Oh, now that light came on. That one hasn't been turning on as much. So you do like the song?
Okay, so at that point, if you didn't hear it, the obelisk.
Okay, so we got two lights in here.
Said hello or halo, hello.
Do you want them
to
change the song? I mean, That's pretty telling, Sage. Both lights lit up. So you can hear it. Do you like it? If you like it, can you flash the light? If you want them to change it, can you flash the light? Why not? Yeah, I have to sing London Bridges. I get it. Yankee Doodle, Old MacDonald. Hey, Don. Let's see. Do you know the song about the lady who swallowed a fly? Perhaps she'll die. How about Humpty Dumpty? This obelisk is being pretty quiet. Yep, we're going to play Duck, Duck, Goose here in just a little bit. Will you come out in the hall with us? We're going to kind of walk on down. Oh, now this is a good question. So when she said halo, and it also said angle, which, oh, there we go. So sometimes when they say things on the obelisk, it's not always 100% what they mean to say. It's either something that sounds similar or that is with a similar meaning. And Tracy says, is her name Angel? And as soon as I pulled that question up, the flashlight came on and now it's flashing. So is your name Angel? Can we call you Angel? I think her name could be Angel.
Could be, or maybe her grandfather, an angel, nickname.
Sage says, would you like for her to put more angels in the room? Would you like more angels in here? Oh, I like that. I like that, Sage. Yeah, I'm not going to sing bingo, but we may play it here in a little bit. Let's see here. Do you ever clap that song? We may play that here in just a little bit. Oh, so you don't want to play that? Okay. And maybe there is an angel in here. Why don't we turn the light on right quick and see if there's any in here in this room? I'm looking in here to see. Now, I'm not going to walk in front of the, well, oh my gosh. Right above the flashlight. And it looks like it's spelled A-N-G-L-E. Is Angel A-N-G-E-L?
Mm-hmm.
This said angle on the obelisk. And there's actually Sage. And it's right up above it. And like I said, it's spelled Wow, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna sit this down here. Wow. Oh, the flashlight just came on. I'm gonna push it back just a little bit. Whoop. Okay, I mean, the fact that that spelled it that way too. It says good. It's just said good. No, I completely agree. That is not a coincidence. And the spelling the same. It says safe. And wow. Safe, wow, and form. Okay, I'm gonna and think. Look at that. Safe, wow, form, and thank.
Okay, so whoops. Let me go back to. I mean, I was pretty blown away by that.
I was too. I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my God, that's the same way that it was spelled on the obelisk, and it was misspelled then on the angel.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy.
I
Crazy
literally, it was one of those things where I literally had to stop and be like, wait a minute. I had to check myself to be like, wait, you do spell angel with, and I'm not making fun of anybody spelling because, but you do spell it that way. And and we had just gotten done talking about how sometimes things come across the obelisk a little bit different. It may be either they mean to say something else or something that's spelled similar or a little different. I mean, it was, to me, it was one of those things that I have no explanation for.
Yeah, and I mean, Halo came up, and
Yeah.
if Halo hadn't came up before Angle, it would have been a little bit more confusing, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But because that had came up before, that it just made sense that that was Angel, and
Yeah.
so it was like that just blew me freaking away. And of course, the next thing that happened shortly after that was her little scavenger hunt that she had us on.
Yep. And I'm going to pull
like,
that up here in a second. And that's why I wanted to show. I thought about kind of skipping around on that clip, but I didn't really want to do that because the whole thing tells a story.
it
It
does.
tells a story, and then the time frame passing in between to show that, I mean, these words happened. It wasn't just a one and done conversation that it's like, okay, we're moving on. Oh, all of a sudden we jump back 30 minutes later to something and it try to relate it. I mean, this was within a time span. It was almost just like a continual conversation. She was aware that we were looking for this. I'm just glad we decided to do that,
Yeah, it was a good thing. It really was. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. I'm still blown away by that. It's sitting in there in my living room right now, and I'm like, I kept looking at it yesterday. I'm like, just shaking my head, and I'm like, I'm putting it back. I'm putting it back for now. But then I go back and I look at it again. I'm like, oh my God, did that really happen the other night? Because I was so tired yesterday. I was like, oh my God. But
Well, and two, after we found it, I mean, to say safe and
Good.
thank, good, safe, thank.
Yep.
Form, I haven't quite figured out if that relates at all. But that was, I mean, that was really amazing how that worked out. Just kind of looking here, yeah, it was, that was really neat to be able to do that and see if they would answer. We've had that happen on some episodes, and I asked what was her favorite toy prior to that. And so being able to again look at the relevance and to be able to discern what's going on, I think that's a great way to be able to utilize certain tools like that. With the flashlight was kind of verifying the obelisk, and the obelisk was verifying the flashlight being able to use, and as well as the EDI being able to use these different tools together to validate and be able to work together, that just kind of adds a little bit to that relevance there.
Yeah.
Hello, Sylvain. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, James, it was really cool to be able to utilize the Autolus for that. Now, let me go ahead and continue the video here. If that'll let me pull that up. Whoops. And so we'll continue here for just a few more minutes to kind of continue on with the conversation.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw up flash blue for just a second.
Okay. Apparently it's flashing blue.
It's like right in between these two.
It is a bank. And people. So people, camera
Oh, yeah, just have another-
and slang. It's. Oh, and the flashlight just came on. Yeah, this is a camera. Guys, I've got cold chills on that. That's pretty amazing. I love it when things come together like this. Wow. So we found an angel. It was actually spelled angle. And it said halo. Flashlight lit up in confirmation. Okay, so we're going to see if you can name another toy. Okay, you're flashing that. All right, thank you. So, oh, this just said baby, scratch, and shot. Okay, as soon as I said baby, that light came on. And a head.
And it's
Now, it says
interesting.
beer. I'm not going to give beer to a child.
And
So maybe it means bear.
it's interesting that other
There's a bear over
flashlight,
here.
the opposite flashlight, came on
The side of this
when it said baby.
skull beer mug. Yeah, there's a bear right there. But it said baby. I wonder if it could be talking about this baby or the baby chair that's right there.
Could be. Are you trying to get us to decorate for you?
Oh my gosh, this baby has a bear on its shirt.
The coconut baby.
It's got a bear on its shirt. And it was a head. Is this the one you were wanting? Tell me if that flashlight turns on. So, wow, okay. That's pretty wild.
It is.
All right. So, oh, there's the flashlight. I'll set this, I'll lay this right here. There is a baby, two little babies right here. But I just think that's kind of odd that that baby has a bear on its shirt. Okay. Well, this is fun. I'm enjoying finding more toys here. Elemental and
Now, so we kind of continued, with the playing that for a little while. It is interesting. There was a beer stein in there. It was kind of funny. There was a skull beer mug there beside of a bear on that shelf. And then of course the baby with the bear shirt on. So again, just kind of odd. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, and I know sometimes we sit there and we try to piece things together and put things together based on what they're telling us, but for me, other than them being intelligent and aware, I really don't have an explanation for it.
Yeah, I don't either. I just know that that was cool. I mean, I was standing there in amazement each time because in the way she was answering questions also with the flashlight and
Yeah.
and we continued to call her Angel from there on out, even when we went back in there,
Yeah.
and tried the spirit box and stuff. And then we found out there was a boy in there. So,
Mhm.
because that came up, but it was just, it was really cool. And she was a very smart little girl.
Very smart. Just and I think with her, we ended up determining. I don't know why this light is flashing. We ended up determining that she was probably around 3, which also really explained why she was responding the way she was to certain things.
Hmm. Yeah. I,
So
I thought that was so awesome too, because it was like, I think that was maybe my favorite part of that, of the
mhm,
investigation was having the conversation with her because I had heard several times about the little girl being seen in there. And
mhm,
at one time, I think I had told you I was in there at one point and there was a baby carriage that
mhm,
I had found in the man cave.
yeah,
And when I told the owners about it being back there and I thought it was creepy, um, they tell me, "Oh, well, where did you see that at? Because we've been looking for it. It keeps getting moved." And, this was about a year or so ago. And so knowing that that was something that she played with possibly, you
yeah.
know, that was like, but it's not moved lately. So I guess she, has moved on to something else. But they couldn't find it. There was people that was wanting to buy it and they looked for it that day and all of a sudden it was gone. It wasn't where it usually was. So she didn't want it sold,
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, you're essentially in a room that's just full of trigger items.
Hmm.
Whether it be items of attachment or just triggers. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in a room filled with toys? I
Yeah.
mean, that kind of, if you're a kid, that kind of seems like heaven in and of itself, is being around just all the different toys to be able to manipulate
Yeah.
or to and of course, we were live for 3 hours on this investigation, so you want to cover as much ground as possible. We ended up being in that room for like an hour. An
Yeah.
hour passed on us. And then it's like, okay, we need to go ahead and move on. But one thing that you noticed, because I know you had a little bit of time to review one of the static cameras, and one of the things that you noticed was when we found and I gotta say, when we were standing there in the hall addressing the spirits, trying to get them to light up the tripwire, and we had 2 tripwires lit up or lined up. We didn't get anything lighting any of those lights directly up when we were doing direct addressing of the spirits out there, really until we started talking about them playing chess.
Yeah.
But on the static camera, you noticed whenever we found the baby with the bear, you said the entire light lit up.
Yeah. All the way to the back, the one in the back, the one up front, it just lit all the way up, all the way down through there. I was just
Wow.
like, whoa. And we
Was it
didn't
the
even
entire
know it.
both strands?
Yeah, both strands. Both strands were lit up.
That's wild. I
Yeah.
mean, and so, it's gonna be cool because we had a couple static cameras out there in that hall, so it's gonna be interesting to watch both of them and
Mhm.
see. But just to have that going on as a direct response, that was really cool. And Ronnie brings up a good point that most of it was relevant to what we were asking, which is to me that hasn't happened very often. When I did the jail in Fentress County and was holding up the paintbrushes, I was able to get them to identify the paintbrushes on both the Ovilus and the Spirit Box. But other than last week at the antique shop and then here at this antique shop, the responses there on the Ovilus were very relevant, which is sometimes you just get weird stuff on there, but it was relevant the entire investigation.
Yeah, it really was. And I'm wondering too, as I was reviewing some of those cameras and stuff, I noticed when we were downstairs, the lights were lighting up some. A
Mhm.
flashlight came on in one of the rooms. So it's like, what did we ask specifically at that time that they answered upstairs? Or,
Yeah.
when we had tried to get the little girl to run to us.
Mm-hmm.
When there was another time when the lights were lit up too while we were in that room, and I'm like, well, I wonder if she ran down the hall,
Mhm.
And so it's like maybe she did respond to us and we just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of common. There's some places you'll go to and you'll interact, and it's almost like whatever's going on behind you is responding, and so then you turn your attention to what's behind you, and then what would have originally been in front of you starts reacting. So anytime your back is turned, almost like a cat and mouse type situation. So I think that happened probably more often than not, especially
Yeah.
at this location. Let's see. Another one that I wanted to pull up here. Let me get this timing right on it. I kind of thought this was really cool about, so when we were so they host gospel singing at this location. And so specifically, one of the rooms that we were in is set up with seats, and I think there was a couple chairs, a couple pews and stuff
Yep.
sitting in there. And so they host music there. Is it once a month or every week that they were
It's
doing?
once a month, I believe.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so in that room, because it is mostly gospel based, and it's a gospel group, we started asking different questions. We said the Lord's Prayer. We were asking specific questions about songs, and nothing. Now we got a little bit before we started the live. We got a intelligent response, but nothing the entire time we were asking these questions. But then on the EDI Plus box, we had that sitting up there. A comment is made about Jesus, and it lit up every time. So I'm going to pull that up. And so just know we had probably been at this, I think we'd been at it for maybe probably 10 minutes or so. I think asking questions. We had enough time to mess up the Lord's Prayer and do a couple other things. So again, that was really neat how it did it. But let me go ahead and start this
out there and see, because that lit up real strong.
That's the video you gotta go to. Mhm.
Okay. Can you turn the light on for Jesus? Maybe before the night's over, we might play some kind of religious. Oh, look at that. When we asked if they could turn the light on for Jesus, we got a hot spike and a pressure change.
Do a song. Do one on for Jesus.
Or leave your light on for Jesus.
Motel 6.
Do what?
Motel 6.
New slogan. I'm going to ask again, because that was really cool. Can you turn your light on for Jesus? It doesn't matter what light you turn on. Oh,
Thank you.
that is cool.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Wow. So no activity till we ask for that. Thank you. That was really cool. Well, so Dee Dee has a point. Robert Bishop, like a name. Maybe it's a last name.
Could be. And you like playing chess.
Great questions, guys. See, this is where that whole collective thing comes in really good, of asking these questions and seeing, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Because, wow, hot, cold, and pressure going on up there. All right. Well, we're going to go to another spot, and I just felt like something touched my leg right there on the opposite side. It was almost just like a calm hand.
God bless you, child.
James Brady, Jesus wins. Yep.
Always.
That's actually really
Yep. Agrees.
that's really cool because I mean again there's no air flowing in here. The air's turned off, so there's no vent.
So I thought that was just too cool.
Yeah, that was amazing. That, and every time that's when
Every
it lit
time.
up.
Is I can just see the essentially the amen choir there, that it's yep and that's one of the reasons I love investigating churches, because the activity is just it's very different. Not that we were investigating a church there, but the services and the singing and stuff that they had, truly something that was said at that point, whether it was the request for something that was important to this specific spirit, or something that really kind of struck a chord with them. I mean, every single time. And it wasn't just a flashlight turning on or whatever. It was a hot spike, cold spike, and always a pressure spike. And in some instances, it was all three going on
Yeah.
at the same time.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Um, so I'm just kind of looking here at the comments, making sure we didn't miss anything. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Linda, on the sad part. I mean, I don't think there was a sad part, was there? Am I missing something? Uh,
I'm not sure about
Not
that.
sure what you're referring to, Linda. Because I mean, the majority of the conversation, like I said, was very relevant, and I didn't really notice any. I mean, there wasn't really anything sad.
Either.
Yeah. So, let's see. I did not. I'm not going to pull up any other specific parts. We can just kind of run through them. We went to some of the different rooms at this point. We did a couple different sessions there in the man cave. That was interesting. Again, we did some setting up beforehand, did some talking to the spirits just to let them know what we're doing, talking about the tools and all of that. And it was interesting. We were getting direct responses right away, but in those areas that we had gotten responses to before we started with the live, nothing during the live.
It was like crickets. It was just like,
Yeah.
okay, where you guys at? Did you get mad because we talked so long to the little girl? What is this? Did we not come quickly enough to you? Because the light did, because when you asked, hey, where you guys want me to start, light a light in front of your room. Well, right as we had decided to go into the toy room, Sage saw a light up in front of that back in front of the man cave. But we'd already decided on the toy room at that time. So I'm like, well, maybe he got mad at us because he did what we said and we didn't go, I'll show you. I just won't talk to you,
Well, we did get something when we went down the route talking about chess.
Yes.
At one point, it did direct us out in the hall. We were getting responses every time we started asking if they like to play chess. If I'm not mistaken, that was the only time that the tripwire out front lit up immediately to a response.
Yeah. And, it also responded when we said something about cowboy.
Yeah, we were talking about when we were in the man cave, we got something about a farm. And you said a lot of that land originally before all of that was farmland.
Yes.
And that we did believe that whoever may have either been a farmer or a cowboy That was the direct response out there in the hall.
On the insurance maps I had seen from 1895, it showed a dwelling on that spot. So that would have been a homestead, and there's probably farming and everything right there. So before those buildings were built right there in the late 1800s, just a few years before, it was somebody lived there. So some of the stuff we were picking up could have even been from those people that lived there on that land. They could have been a little upset because their farmland and what they had worked so hard for was taken away, and buildings were put there in their space. And also the Cherokee and Creek Indians were prevalent in the area. Not far from there was a place that they met in peace. So it's like holy ground. So they all traveled in that area. So there's a lot of stuff that could have came up.
Do you know when the railroad track came through?
I would have to look up the specific years, but it was in I would say 1860s, but I'm not sure.
So it was before the town, or essentially before the farmstead was moved out.
Yeah, because when the railroad came through, I mean, it was before the Civil War, I believe. And
I wasn't sure right there in that specific town if that was before the Civil War.
Yeah, I think it was. I'd have to look it back up. I have it written down somewhere from some of the history I've done on it. But it was, that was a very important part of the town. And there was a settlement already there before all that. People had settled in that area in the early 1800s. Like 1840s maybe. But it didn't really become a town until a little bit later.
Because I wondered, sometimes there's a lot of activity related to railroad tracks, and there's a lot of really interesting theories behind that. So, but kind of moving on there, we did spend some time in there. We did get a couple interesting responses with the license plates, the flag that was inside of the man cave. We also were directed into, we didn't really spend much time in the clothing room. It said dress and cake. And so we were kind of thinking maybe we'd be on the lookout for a wedding cake or for, anything that was bride related in any of those specific rooms. We didn't come across anything of that nature. We didn't investigate in the Christmas tree room. It just didn't really feel, at least at the moment, it didn't feel like a lot of energy. And then of course we went downstairs. So what was cool about downstairs was the fact that the walls was still the rock walls that was there, and the original wood and all that beautiful wood floors in on both the first and the second level. The downstairs to me didn't really, this is just me personally, I didn't really feel a whole lot. But, again, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of stuff down there. So what we ended up doing, the service was not 100% great down there. So we didn't really want to spend too much time investigating. So we put a laser grid up. We also had a motion detection light that would come on. We had a flashlight back there, and then we had a static camera. And so the thought was, if something was to move across, we would be able to see it better by maybe breaking the laser grid. Also, maybe turning on the light or turning on the motion light. Went down, asked some questions. We did hear walking overhead. Not 100% sure if that was Sage leaving or if she had already left the building, because I know she was leaving at that point in time. So it's always kind of hard to say. But we did listen to see if there was anything. I know Sonia said that she heard something coming down the stairs. It was behind me, so I didn't hear that. It
Yeah,
was all happening at the same time that
Yeah.
Sage was leaving.
and I actually thought it was Sage coming. I even mentioned, I said, I think that's Sage coming down the back stairs
Mhm.
to tell us goodbye.
Mhm.
And I looked back twice thinking she was going to appear, and she wasn't there.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, the upstairs, walking stopped. Everything stopped about the same time. And so, I'm not sure about that. And to go back, the first settlement in that area was 1784.
Okay.
And the railroad didn't come to that area till the 1870s.
Okay. Okay. So it was probably some of the progress of after the Civil War,
Yeah,
which is interesting. It's
it is.
interesting. And so we ended up we tried the spirit box. The spirit box did not really translate very well over the live. So rather than sitting there and I don't know if it was just the spirit box or if I was picking up on something, but I found it was irritating me, the spirit box. And normally it doesn't bother me, and I don't know if it was just because it was kind of loud and I was having to holler over it and people couldn't hear it anyways, or if, like I said, if my agitation was picking up on something else. I don't know. But I'm very interested to go back, because what we decided to do was, because things were so quiet downstairs, I feel like sometimes things don't want to, maybe if something is sort of back in the shadows, or keeping its distance, maybe it doesn't want to talk with me. So I decided to set up the spirit box, let that play while we were upstairs, and so it ran for about an hour. We ended up investigating about another hour after we set everything up downstairs, and we could hear the spirit box talking
Mhm.
when we were up there, very, very clear. So I can't wait to go back and listen to the audio and the static cameras to see if we either got something that was related to the incident that took place there in the building, or just a conversation from one of an unrelated spirit.
Yeah, and we even saw, as we were cleaning up, we had not gotten downstairs yet. We could see a light through the baseboards
Yeah.
of the upstairs, and it's like, you're like, there's a light on down there.
Yeah.
And then when we looked again, it was off. So that meant either the flashlight or that motion sensor light had cut on by something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, whoa, and we did hear some voices too
Yeah.
that were
It's
in the
my
moment.
voice. Yeah, yeah. I know that Dee Dee heard a voice when we were in the man cave that sounded like it was kind of coming off to the side of me there. So I'm really curious about that, because she heard that in the moment, and I'm trying to remember what she thought it said. I did make a note of that, and I've got to go back and review. I don't remember if it was yes or if it, like, in response to something. I think it was a response.
Yeah.
And then you and I, after Sage left and after we moved the tripwire into the little girl's room, things got a little weird. That's what Dee Dee said. Yeah, that she heard, yeah, it was a man, she thought, and said it at the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I thought. So we're going to go back and definitely check that. We'll check the live. We'll also check the static cameras, because when I say we tried to cover the building, we had, I think, 6 cameras set
Yeah,
up.
it's huge. It was a huge space. Huge
Yeah.
space to cover.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad we decided to do that, to put those
Mhm.
cameras up, because it'll take a little time to go over, but at least we'll be able to kind of see what maybe was missed during the actual live. But once Sage left, once we set up the tripwire, REM pod goes off. REM pod had not gone off any more of the night. We had it sitting outside of a room that was said to be active, but the room was closed off to us because they were doing some work in there. We were not allowed to go in there. REM pod, it was just like crazy alarming at that point. And so when we went down there, what else was it? We heard a voice in the
Yeah,
moment.
we
Yeah.
did. I can't remember. We couldn't quite figure out what it was, but it sounded like a little girl.
Yeah.
Sounded like a child's voice. And then we had there was another time we had heard something too in the man cave. We heard something in the man cave too. You thought it was sage eye, and we were like, "What was that?" So it was, all three of us heard it, but we couldn't quite make out what it was. But yeah, when that REM pod went off, my stomach, I think my heart dropped to my stomach a little bit because it was all in the back of the room, and I'm like, oh my God. And it would not go off. And it was just like beaming different lights and it just would not shut off. I don't know who was screaming at us, but they were yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty I don't know, that felt eerie to me for some reason because it was all happening at once. And so we ended up investigating till midnight. I could have gone so much longer. And it would have been nice to have kind of stopped for a little bit, charge a few of the tools up, and take a little bit of a break, and then get back to it. But of course, had to leave and get on the road. But I definitely look forward to going back and spending a little more time taking some of the information that we've learned and seeing if that tends to bring out any more activity.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think that will be fantastic to do that.
And thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, Linda. And we really appreciate that and appreciate your comments and questions. Bob says, I thought I heard a man say back at that time. That's an interesting point. We'll definitely go back and see. And thank you, Ronnie. We definitely appreciate that. I hope you have a good night as well. And
good night.
Guys, we're getting ready to wrap things up. If you have any last minute questions or comments, please feel free to put those there in the comment section, and we'll try to get to them before we wrap things up. But please go back and rewatch the live, see if there's something we missed. We really just scratched the surface trying to go in and kind of summarize what we experienced and a few of our favorite, or a few of my favorite moments. Anything you want to add, Sonia?
The REM pod going off was kind of a creep factor to me. But thinking that I heard somebody go down the stairs, I mean, that was creepy and cool all at the same time. But I can't. I mean, the baby, the angle, those two things just tops everything. I mean, that like trumps everything else that happened the other night, and that was just so intelligent and so just on mark. It was just right on point, and everything was lined up with the obelisk, and it was just like, whoa, what are the odds? I mean, I'm still like wrapping my brain about what are the odds of halo and angle coming up on the obelisk. And then you actually go and find, and the owner told me that she had just put that in there last week.
Wow.
Yeah, so that had not even been in there until like last week. She moved it in there because she thought maybe the little girl ghost might enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then bam, Oh, and that was something too. Nana kept coming up.
That is true.
And that's what her grandkids call her.
That's true. That's true. Now, you have to wonder. I mean, I'm a believer everything happens for a reason. I mean, do you tend to believe that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that everything happens for a reason and when it's supposed to happen.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So if we had, I mean, what could have been the outcome, do you think, had we not gone and tried to find that? Do you think that they would have given more clues to, I mean, I think it was meant to be found. I think it was meant to show, but it just goes to show it to me, it goes to show how this is such a cool way of doing this investigation with, when you're a solo investigator or investigating with another person or whatever, having so many, bright minds sitting there thinking about different things to do. And, if we hadn't have decided to do a scavenger hunt, do you think that they would have continued to try to reveal who they were, or how do you think that would have changed?
I think they would have tried and then finally just said, "Hey, these people are dumb butts. I can't get through to them." So I mean, we were smart enough to put 2 + 2 = 4, and hey, Halo, oh, Angle, that must mean angel, and
I
Sage
mean,
had good
maybe.
Sage had good input about things as well, like when it was asked, "Why are you here?" And it
Yeah.
came up on the thing, "I'm dead. I died."
Or why do you stay?
Or why
Yeah.
did you stay? Or so whatever the question was, it was
Yeah.
like, "I died." It's
Yeah.
just something simple that a child would say, like, "Well, died, this is where you go, right?"
Yeah.
Because they probably wouldn't have known anything else where they were supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and being surrounded by toys like that, they probably were like, "Yeah, this is heaven."
Well, still just, I guess, just the fact that, I mean, it was so literal.
Yeah,
It was
it
so
was.
literal with the angel and then angle being on the angel.
Yeah. I mean, but that right there just goes to prove um, the intelligent factor that was there, because there was, if I just the nursery rhymes, just everything. It just blew me away, completely away. To like hear this conversation, and
Mhm.
I really think she would have kept being persistent, um, you know, and tried to push it, but then again, somebody else might not have used the right tools. I think that you always, you are a seasoned investigator, and you go on what you feel, and you felt like these were the tools that needed to be used. And because, we had talked a little bit before going in, about some of the tools that, we might use
Mhm.
and some of the experiments that we might do. But then when you got in there, you're like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So you're real good at that, and your intuition about things is on mark. So,
Well,
I don't
thanks.
know. Yeah, I don't know that anything else you could have used would have brought more of that out.
Well, do you think,
Yeah.
so what's your thoughts, and not to, I mean, this could be a whole show in and of itself, but your thoughts on, they say sometime, I mean, we talk to our spirits at the jail before every team comes, and I try to give the spirits the information because I want to see if the spirits will, if they take the information I'm giving them and do something to the investigators by telling their name or telling where they're from, and seeing if they translate that in any way to the investigators. And so some people will say, well, they know you're coming. Okay.
Mhm.
When I did Octagon Hall, I did a drawing of Octagon Hall and gave it to the owner. And the day that I came, earlier that afternoon, while I was on my way, the picture fell off the wall. Okay. And Bear was telling me, said, yeah, they know you're coming. Do you think that that the spirit knew what we were going to do and that we would find Angle?
Yeah, well, I've already told you there's got to be a ghost network, and and they like, hey, the ghost biker's coming, so I just want to let you know she's there. You can trust her, you can talk to her, and I've been joking about that, but I do believe that it is interesting that they know you're coming, because you are the darn ghost biker, and the word's out on the ghost streets that you may be coming to their neighborhood soon, and they're already preparing themselves. Oh man, we got somebody to talk to. She's gonna actually listen to us, and she's really smart too. I think she took, like, the other ghost said she took a class in psychology in college. So we're just gonna lay it all out for her, because we know we can sit there on the
Well,
couch, on the ghost couch, and let her talk to us.
well, I do.
So
I just, in all seriousness, I do wonder if I mean, because it does go to show, it's choices, and
Yeah.
the choices we make in an investigation or whatever it is that we do can change the outcome. And I don't know, I was just always kind of fascinated by that
Yeah.
it's just how all the pieces fit together to provide some type of answer. And maybe that answer was just to show a presence and show, I don't know, show a presence, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It,
And, we did get a little bit before our investigation. We did a little mini investigation, and, there was a lot of people who wanted to talk to you there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and, and so it's like, um, but some stuff was coming through to us there that was revealed that, I think that would have been good if some stuff had showed up at the store. Those names and stuff that we got, I think we're all related. Um, but it just, I just don't know. But I do feel like they knew that you were coming. I do feel like they knew they could talk to you and they could trust you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten the responses before the investigation or during. But as I've learned, though, I think children's spirits kind of dominate a lot of times. And maybe the ghosts kind of sit back and let them run the show a little bit, because people are so interested in that. But I don't know, maybe if we had went to that man cave first, we would have gotten more, and I did think about that. But, everybody was saying, hey, toy room. I'm like, well, that's actually a good spot because I'm interested in this little girl that might be in there.
mhm,
Um, I'm glad that we did that because we did get a lot. But at the same time, I wonder if we'd started in the man cave, if we still could have gotten but hey, it's done now. And we
yeah,
did what we felt. We went with what we felt. And I think it was a good
mhm,
choice. And you've got good intuitive skills. And, like I say, you're a seasoned, investigator. You know what what is needed and when it's needed, and you know how to fill it out, you know how to fill the room and know what needs to be done. And um so I think it was good. I really do. I think
yeah,
you did a good job. I think that um we got some good responses. I would have liked got more, but the owner did tell me that when she's been in there at night preparing for an event or something that's coming up, usually around 1 o'clock is when she starts hearing more footsteps and people going up and down the stairs and different things like that. And another worker, she told me just yesterday that another worker had heard footsteps above her,
mm,
and she couldn't figure that one out. And then when we found out that just recently they had found that there was an apartment up there, I was like, well, that makes sense.
yeah,
Why she was hearing footsteps above. Um,
mhm,
So that brings another round to it too. So if you ever go back there, I think that it'd be good for you to be in there by yourself and take, sleep
yeah,
in there, have some cameras going, do some investigating, take a nap on one of the pews or something, or maybe there's a couch
mhm,
in there somewhere. Um, you know, um, I think you would probably get some cool stuff. And knowing too that there was a dwelling there
mhm,
before the building was there, and the railroad didn't come till 1870s now.
mhm,
So, you know, who else lived in a house around there before that hotel was built, before
mhm,
the other things were built? There was a carriage building place near there. There was, so you have to
mhm.
wonder
Yeah, I
about that
mean,
too.
there's so many directions we can go with
Mhm.
this. And again, this is not a one and done type situation.
Yeah.
And I kind of figured a lot of these that might be the case with a lot of these places is that it's it's going to leave you with more questions than answers. The main question to me that was answered, it really validated a lot of the activity that
Mhm.
people were currently experiencing in there,
Yeah.
or people over the years have experienced. So it really validated that, and we were able to kind of match up some of the different personalities with what they've experienced.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, you go from there and see what we can get. But I think that's one of those places you could probably investigate for a full year and get different stuff every single time, and probably get stuff every time just because of the amount of items and the amount of history that's in this specific place.
Yeah. And I think too, these places have never been investigated,
Mhm.
but because of that, these spirits have a lot to say.
Yeah.
They all want to talk. They
Yeah.
all want to say something, and maybe the spirits here were just kind of waiting on their turn, or
Not possible, yeah.
or maybe they were also a little shy about things. I don't know, but the lights, seeing the static cams today that I've reviewed so far, and seeing some of the lights just light up all the way down through there, it's like, okay, so what were we talking about at that point in time that,
Mhm.
made them light that up? Were they answering us? And
Yeah.
we didn't think they were.
Mhm.
I think they were pretty fascinated with those lights.
Well, because too, you have to think if there was if there were no walls, or if there was a divider wall there in the center, we don't know where they could have been at that point in time
Yeah.
in their life when they were responding to us.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it would have the geography would have looked a lot different
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't wait to go back and review the camera footage, and I can't wait to kind of dig a little deeper in that one. Our goal is to clip some of this stuff down after the season is over. There's absolutely no way I'll be able to get to this during the month of October. I'm
Right.
lucky to be able to sleep and eat here during the month of October. So between all the tours we have at the jail, the investigations, and then traveling every week to these great places. So, but hopefully we will be clipping all of that stuff down. But I need your help, you folks there in the chat room, watching these episodes, giving me timestamps, giving me information that you noticed during the episodes. That really helps me to be able to make this a quicker process, and kind of expedite some things and get it out a lot quicker. But I'm excited. We still have 3 more episodes to go this season. It's amazing. We're literally here at the halfway point of the season, and it seems like we've only just begun, but it's just building. And every location, I hate to set expectations because you never know what's going to happen, but it does seem to be building and growing, and that as we continue on, the activity is just going to or let me put it this way, the claims of activity that's in these locations are a little more intense as we go throughout. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
excited about
the Ghost Network's already letting this next place know, hey, she's going to be here next week, be on the outlook for, so they're already getting ready. They're talking, they're letting each other know. And hey, who knows, some of them from the other one may jump over to that other one just to say hello. I don't know, but
I don't know how that works, but I will say, as of right now, that what I can reveal, we've been in Georgia the last 2 weeks. I can tell you we will be going back to another great Georgia location. So it's sort of like I said, you can kind of see more of the theme here, not just antique shops, but old Georgia.
that's
That
right.
keeps showing up in every episode. But again, come up, be thinking of your questions, experiments, cool things to try as we head back to another really cool town in Georgia next Tuesday night. We will be live. I think you're going to be really interested. The claims that come out of this place, like I said, are just more intense, and the history behind it, yeah, I think, kind of leads to some of that intensity. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and guys, thank you Thank you for your kind words, Tracy. Thank you for all of your kind words throughout. James, we can probably do that. Let you know the location if you do want to travel there. I know some of you are somewhat close-ish.
Yeah, and I'll send you a message, James, or
Yeah.
Kim, your Kim, and let you know.
Yeah.
Because I think you would enjoy it. And also, I just want to add, thank you, Ghost Biker Miranda Young, for letting me be a part of your episode. I was honored to be by your side doing that. So that was just, just to see you working. It's like, man, she's so awesome, and I'm like, I'm on here with the Ghost Biker. Yeah. So that was really cool to get to help you out with that. And I'm glad that you let me do that. So thanks again for having me on your show. And thanks again for letting me do this tonight too. So this is really cool talking about it. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Your research that you've done in helping me out with this, helping me out with the filming, and just kind of going through and talking about it with you. It's been real enjoyable, and it's been enjoyable talking about it since it all happened. That's that's always part of the fun with it, is being like, did we really experience some of that? Does this really happen? Is it my mind? Am I just reaching for things? That always helps whenever you have that. And like I said,
we ghost bonded.
There you go. There you go. The more I do these lives, the more I truly enjoy them. I was just sitting there thinking when we were doing one section of the live and everyone was spitting out their questions. There was so many good ideas and so many good questions that that I think helped us get to some of the responses that we were getting. And that was one of the things that was really cool. So the more of these I do, the more that I love them and am enjoying doing them, because it brings such a different element. And it's not like one thing I'm seeing, because I do guided ghost hunts all the time, and you have people that they go to a ghost hunt and then they don't ask any questions, and you're stuck asking all these questions. And that was really weird. My driveway alarm just went off. So probably
okay.
Hopefully that's some kind of animal. We'll say it's a deer.
Yeah, for now it's a deer.
I don't want any of the living or the dead coming up my driveway right now.
No.
But anyways, yeah, it's really cool because to see the participation and everything, because it doesn't always, sometimes you feel like you got to drag things out, and that doesn't happen here. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling because I need to go check on that, see what's going on there, and get to a couple other projects here. But again, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, be sure to tune in, as we will be at another great Georgia location. And you never know who you might see there or what we might experience. So I hope to see you guys there then. So thank you, Sonia.
Oh, thank you.
All right. We'll see you all soon.
Okay.
Good night.